Faster than a speeding bullet. Actually, even faster than the rumor of a new oil play. Able to leap Wall Street in a single bound. His brain, faster and more powerful than the biggest supercomputer. Capable of quadrillions of calculations per second. This isn't Superman. This is Super Energy Man. Disguised as mild-mannered Jeff Ventura, president and CEO of a great American energy company, this super energy man, with his powers and abilities beyond human capability, led the discovery of the largest natural gas field in America.
Jeff Ventura, he's a very humble gentleman, but he's also very competitive.
He really does combine a unique balance of being very driven, very competitive. You wouldn't see it because he's got such a humble demeanor, but he is very driven and very competitive. And but he's a genuinely kind, decent person.
But Jeff's very low key. He's a very humble guy, and it's not an act. He's really that way. I'll tell people that Jeff's probably the only CEO I know that still cuts his own lawn. He lived in the same house he has for many years. He's very unpretentious, very low key. Very down to earth. He doesn't go looking for the limelight. He's quite capable of, as he's done many times, going on live TV or with Kramer on Mad Money, and he's very effective in that environment. But that's not something that he seeks. He does that because that's his job.
Super Energy Man. All I see are empty, grassy fields. Tell him, Jimmy, there's nothing here.
Lois Lane is right, Super Energy Man. All the other oil and gas companies say nothing is here. And if something were here, word will get out.
They don't see what I see.
Don't look at me with that X-ray vision.
I'm not using X-ray vision, Lois. I'm using Ventura vision. I'll show you what I see. Look down, Lois and Jimmy. Tell me what you now see.
Super Energy Man, there are thousands of wells down there.
Is this for real?
Just give me a few years, Jimmy.
So he knew that there was a lot of potential, a lot of hydrocarbon potential in the Marcellus, and was able to convince not only the board, but even some of the employees that we need to persevere with this project, and it'll work. We can make it work.
Yeah, in the early days, there was a lot of pioneering, a lot of innovation, a lot of new ways of thinking from the range team up there.
He had the fortitude and the ability to manage and judge a risk, and to focus on something like the opportunity in the Barnett Shale, but with the vision to say there's this thing called the Marcellus, by the way, in his home state, with his alma mater as one of the academic institutions that did some of the formative work in delineating the size and extent of the Marcellus. So it was almost destiny that Jeff was the guy to see that.
Yeah, we worked on big international projects. The one that I was working with him on was a project in Venezuela. We thought those reserves were huge. They've been eclipsed by the Marcellus. I mean, and that was a big, expensive international project. And so, yeah, it's been fantastic to find probably maybe the largest gas field in the world in the basin where the domestic oil and gas industry started, underneath Jeff's hometown, basically.
The following years, Super Energy Man did what couldn't be done.
You're right, Super Energy Man. There's more gas here than maybe any place else in the world.
That's why we're leaving Texas.
Oh my gosh, you're leaving Texas?
This is going to be a great story.
Breathe a word, Jimmy, and you'll be orbiting Saturn.
Got it.
That was a hard decision. I mean, literally, the Barnett's physically under our feet here where we sit today. But the decision to exit was a hard one. It's a very difficult decision, but we felt it was the right thing to do. The company has a history of not falling in love with its assets. And if we have an asset that doesn't fit our future objectives, or that doesn't fit on a cost, for a cost reason or some other reason, we're not emotionally attached, so we'll divest it and redeploy the capital elsewhere to improve returns for our shareholders. And the Barnett was exactly that. We were somewhat of a late entrant to the basin, even though it's here. And we had a great acreage position, but it was only around, I think, 60,000 acres, so it didn't have the running room that the Marcellus had. The market was strong for Barnett assets, so we made the decision to exit that area for around $900 million, and then of course we redeployed those proceeds in the Marcellus. We were actually, the Barnett was around a third of the company's production at the time we sold it, but interestingly enough, the Marcellus is so much more attractive. We were able to replace all that production within the first 5 months of redeploying the capital. So it was a good chapter for us.
Jeff is a really deserving candidate for this award. He's the complete package. You know, he's a great business leader and showed real vision and fortitude and some very thoughtful risk-taking in the move by Range into the Marcellus back in 2005, 6, and 7, whenever all that happened. But he's a splendid fellow. You know, I'm from Pittsburgh and went to Penn State. He's from Pittsburgh. He went to Penn State. He's one of us, and he's such an easy guy to be with and so gracious and thoughtful. Very sharp business mind, of course, great leader, but in Pittsburgh terms, I'd just say Jeff is a really good guy. He's one of us.
And of course, Super Energy Man did the most important job of all, make people rich.
All I have to do is sign here?
There'll be money for your great-great-great-grandkids.
Well, I just need a wife.
I'm so proud of you, Super Energy Man.
Can I now spill the beans, stir the stew, break the headlines? Super Energy Man and the Marcellus Shale. Golly, what a story.
Have at it, Jimmy.
I was convinced, just because of the perspective I had, that this was going to be a really good thing for the region. Employment and development and activity and wealth creation and good for farmers who would have leases and all those sort of things. I was convinced it was going to be a good thing.
Jeff, in that process, it was a lot of fun because that was home to him. And of course, he cares deeply about the area and deeply about the industry and, of course, Range itself. So it was really a fun thing to go through the convergence of all of these factors to see the Marcellus become successful and to see Jeff really, in the vanguard of that process.
But it was big, and for Pennsylvania, for Western Pennsylvania, it was new, and there was a lot of new things happening that people weren't used to.
We had to mobilize, I think, all of the frac equipment, if not in Pennsylvania, most of Appalachia, to put a large-scale frac job on that particular well, and that was really Jeff's directive. He didn't want to make a half-hearted attempt at testing what could be a whole new play with a lot of potential, given that the Marcellus exists in over a large portion of the Appalachian Basin, even outside of Pennsylvania. So it was at Jeff's insistence that we study what was going on in the Fort Worth Basin and the type of fracs that were being put on the Barnett Shale, and take that technology and apply it to the Marcellus in the first well.
You know, that farmer isn't half bad looking.
Did you know Super Energy Man's great-uncle worked on Colonel Drake's oil well? The first oil well ever drilled in the United States. Gosh, it's like manifest destiny.
I wonder if he's on Facebook.
Yeah, I think Jeff would just kind of go, "Aw, shucks, I'm no Superman," because that's kind of his nature.
Jeff, by his very nature, would object to being called a Superman.
To be around Jeff is to like Jeff. And he makes everybody feel like what they're saying is important. He makes everybody feel important. There isn't little people in Jeff's world.
He basically views this as a terrific opportunity, not only for Range and its shareholders and its employees, but really for the country to be producing some of the cheapest energy really on the planet Earth in an area that really needs it, that's cleaner than coal and oil and other alternatives. And I think he views it, I won't go so far as to say it's a calling, but I think, as we all do, it's a noble profession, and it's good for the country. And one thing that's interesting about oil and gas is if you do it right, everybody can win. There can be something in it for everybody, and Jeff understands that, and he understands that it's not all about him. It's not all about Range. There's a lot more to the oil and gas story than just one company or just one CEO. And Jeff understands that, and he basically walks the talk.
Last year, I was both humbled and honored to be recognized, and I'm sure Jeff is today. The Chief Roughneck Award has a rich legacy. When you look at the list of those that have been honored in the past, Jeff fits right in. He's a true pioneer of today's petroleum industry. We appreciate U.S. Steel for sponsoring this award, and as I know Jeff will agree, To be recognized by your peers is a real honor. Congratulations, Jeff.
U.S. Steel honors Jeff Ventura as the 2014 Chief Roughneck.